Probably many of you didn't even know we had a hobo camp in Geneva. You all know where Dryden Park is now, I'm sure. Well, back in the 30s, it was all very hilly. It wasn't flattened out. So these hobos, or may I call them distressed gentlemen, were from New York, New Jersey, all over. And some of my buddies, Keith Prouty, who lived on South Street, maybe some of you remember him. Many of these guys, we decided to go out and visit them. If our mothers had known this, they'd have had a heart attack, I guess. But we went out on our bikes and left them by the old station and walked down the track up to Dryden, where Dryden Park is now, and introduced ourselves, and they were fine gentlemen. You could tell that they had had good jobs by the type of clothes they were still wearing. Expensive shoes, beat up, of course, from hopping on trains, Borsalano type felt hats, and many of them had been bankers in the East. And they were down and out, and they were on this train run, hoping to find some place, especially California, where they could get a job and get a little money to send home to their families, who some of them had wives and children back in the eastern states. So after we got talking to them for a while and friendly, they said, "Is there any chance, boys, of you bringing us some eggs and bacon, some bacon and some bread?" We said, "Oh, why, certainly." So we hopped on our bikes, the 3 or 4 of us, and I lived on 5th Street then, or still live, and we tore home and raided the refrigerator. And we take I took, I think, 4 eggs and half a loaf of bread. Frankly, nobody ever mentioned that it was gone, thank goodness, because I'd have had to tell, who I was giving this to. But for some reason or other, these guys were real gentlemen. I mean, they never swore in front of us, and it changed my idea of hobos completely. And they were just people who were down and out. So we'd go out there every 3 or 4 days if they hadn't hopped the train west. And they were making things out of old tin cans, like a tomato can. One guy had some tin snips, and he cut these, and he cut it. They were fascinating little cups they'd make instead of just drinking out of the can. It was something for them to do, I guess, keep their mind occupied. And I still have one in the garage, a little can the guy made for me with a little copper handle on it. I should have brought it. But it was really a fascinating experience for us. And our house, for some reason, my mother, I guess she fell in love with these poor guys because they were so down and out. They had our telephone posts marked some way with funny marks on it. And they knew this was an easy touch. And they'd knock on our door, and my mother would answer the door. And they say, "Ma'am, is there any chance of getting something to eat?" And she said, "Oh, certainly." And it's summertime. She said, "Go out in the yard in the back." And we had a big umbrella table with 4 or 5 chairs on it. And it was like she was entertaining these people. She'd have them sit around the umbrella table, and she'd go in and she'd heat up soup for them and take it out, almost like it was a restaurant. Well, they'd tell their buddies, and they marked it some way. "Boy, is this a great touch?" The lady read, and she never asked them to cut the grass. They offered to do chores. Never said no. Well, cut the grass or chop some wood for the fireplace or something. And she had the nicest card about 6 months later from California, and it was a postcard, and it was from one of the gentlemen. And he said, dear lady, I just want to thank you for your kindness. It meant so much to me and my friends, for you being kind to us by giving them food and stuff." And my mother cherished that card for the longest time.